And welcome back to another Java tutorial. My name is Kelvin from Firehawk Productions. In the last video, I taught you guys how to print these two lines. So we left off right here. And there's actually one thing I forgot to do in the last video. Notice how when Eclipse was first installed, it doesn't come with line numbers. And I think line numbers are very important for coding. So let's say if I make a mistake and I don't put a semicolon or something, and I try to run the program, I'm gonna get this error right here. But Java is also gonna tell me that the error exists in line number 5. If I didn't have line numbers, then I would have to physically count the lines. So this would be line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5. Oh, there's an error here. So I think line numbers is really important. So in order to get line numbers, you have to right click here and just click on show line numbers. And then you see that the error occurred at line number 5. Okay, so last video I promised you guys that I'm going to be teaching you something called a variable. And what is a variable? Well, a variable is basically something that represents something. Yes, very descriptive. But let me give you an example. Let's say if I were to do something like this. X equals 6, semicolon. In this case, X is a variable that represents 6. So X is a variable, represents 6. And what if I do something like Y equals, open quotations, hello. The variable here is Y, and it represents the string hello. And let's do one more. Z equals true. Now in Java, when you describe variables, you need to let Java know what the variable is representing. So in this case, right here in line number 7, I put X equals 6. But Java needs to know what X is representing. And in this case, X is representing a number. So in order for me to let Java know that X is representing a number, I have to type the words int in front of it. And this represents integer. So X is a variable that represents the integer of 6. And as soon as I type in int, the error is gone. So there's no error here. Now what about for Y? Y represents a string that says hello. And remember, we talked about strings in the last video. Strings is basically a sequence of characters, okay? And they're always surrounded by double quotations. So how do you let Java know that Y represents a string? You just have to type in the word string with a capital S. And then Java knows that, ooh, Y is a string that represents hello. Okay, now what about this last one? Z equals true. In Java, there's something called a Boolean, which is spelt like this. A Boolean basically represents, or it tells Java that a variable is either true or false. So in this case, I had it to true. So let's go back to the first variable we had, which was the integer X equals 6. So you know that the variable X represents the integer 6. An integer is only a whole number. But what if I wanted to represent something that is a decimal, such as if I make a new number, okay, let's try making a new variable. Int decimal equals 6.5. Java's going to give me an error because it knows that 6.5 is not an integer, but it's a decimal. So in this case, you have to change the int to a double. And a double in Java represents anything that's not an integer. So you have things like fractions and numbers in decimal format. Okay, so these are the 4 most commonly used variable types that I will be teaching, or that Java even uses. There's actually a lot more kinds of variables, but these 4 are the most common ones that we'll be using. So let's try to combine what we've learned yesterday and today. So I'm just going to delete these 2 lines at the top, and I'm going to write a new print line. So let's try system.out.println, and I'm just going to try to print x and see what happens. Now, what's going on here is you're just printing out the variable x, and from our knowledge, we should know that it should print 6. Let's see if it prints 6. Press play. It prints 6, so it works. Let's try doing it for all of them. I'm just going to do decimal plus y plus z. So what this is going to print is it's going to print 6.5, hello, and true. Let's see if that's the case. You have 6.5, hello, and true. The reason why there's no spaces between them is because we didn't specify, we didn't tell this line to print spaces. So if you want to have spaces, you can do something like this. You can do plus. After the plus, you can have the open quotations, and just press space in between the double quotations. And you can do that for all of them. And don't forget to have a plus sign afterwards. Otherwise, Java's going to think that this double quotation and this y are together, which they are not. So another open quotation, space, close quotation, space, plus. And then you're going to be able to see that there are spaces, 6.5, hello, and true. So let's try giving these variable names something like a more meaningful variable name. Like x could be something like cars. The decimal could be something like, I don't know, speed, and y, instead of doing y, let's just say car brand, and the car brand we're going to choose is Honda. And so I'm going to delete everything in here, and then I'm going to try to print this. There are space plus cars plus open quotations space on the road. Okay, let's see what happens there. I wrote there are and then plus cars. I put 6. So it should print out there are 6 cars. Whoops, there are 6 cars on the road. Let's see if that's the case. I go to save and press play. There are 6 cars on the road. So here's how it works if you want to print strings and a variable. This is how you combine them. So you can, you can play around with this all you want. You can say, my car brand is plus car brand, and then if you save, play again, my car brand is Honda. So you see how you can print different variables. Now the question you might be asking is, why in the world do we even need variables? Why can't you just put something like my car brand is Honda? Well, the answer to that is, let's say if you have a program that asks user for input. Let's just say that string name equals, okay, let's say if you just do string name equals Kelvin. Well, my name is Kelvin, but let's say if it was somebody else. Let's say if someone else was using a program and needed to log in, and then after they logged in, it would display welcome their name. So in this case, for me, it would be welcome Kelvin. But let's say if it was someone named like Roger or something, or any other name, then it can't always print welcome Kelvin. It needs to print welcome and then the person's name. So that's when we need to use variables. So in the next video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to ask users for input. So things like their name, their age, date of birth, stuff like that, just to show you why variables are very important. But that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you all next video.